Hey folks, and welcome back to another episode of Straight Talk Whiskey. I'm Nick, here with you as always. Thanks for joining us for episode number 111. So today for you, we've got a rye whiskey from Wild Turkey, and it's the Wild Turkey Kentucky Straight Rye. So, pour a little bit here to start. Now, I've taken a couple passes at this, let it open up a bit. We got a little packaging bit there. Throw that away. So let's see what we've got in store. So we know that Wild Turkey, Lawrenceburg, Kentucky, the Russells, Jimmy Russell, who has been doing it for decades upon decades upon decades, I think something like 60 years, is now handed over the reins primarily to his son Eddie, but is still, involved in the distillery. And occasionally you'll see things online of, events and things like that where he actually makes an appearance, which I saw him in Philadelphia a couple of years back at the American Whiskey Convention. So that was a really cool experience to actually get to see Jimmy Russell in the flesh. So they've taken on Matthew McConaughey, if you've seen sort of the ads or looked around at Wild Turkey's website, as sort of a promoter spokesman for him, for Wild Turkey. So they've undergone a different change in the sense of modernization, I would say. If you look at just like their bottle, and the label in and of itself is a little bit modernized. It's got a little bit of a more contemporary feel. On the label, we've got approved by Master Distiller Eddie Russell, so it is very clear that Eddie taking over the reins there. But what else to say about it? If you look at their other products, it's a similar thing along their ranges. They've also come out with some unique different variations and expressions and that sort of thing, which I haven't been able to try yet. Things like the Master's Keep and some other things that are out there, which will be interesting if I can come across them at a decent price. That's always sort of the caveat, is when you find them, they're typically not in sort of a really approachable price range, which is unfortunate, but that's the way it is. So, interestingly enough, this is bottled at 40.5% ABV. I don't know why they needed to go with, the one proof higher than typical, 80 proof. It is now at 81 proof. It's also undergone, in terms of the aging, the oak barrels have undergone a number 4 char, which is alligator char, so it's a real deep char going on in there. Not much else on the bottle. It is nice though that the price point it's at being 20, low to mid 20s. It's decent. It's got the cork top. It's nice that they upgrade a little bit from the screw top, which is something. But I want to say, even though before I taste this, that this appears to be marketed towards the cocktail market, mixed drink market, and the same with their Wild Turkey Rye 101. I've noticed a lot of marketing and advertisement going around that's sort of geared towards that end of the whiskey drinker. So just keep that in mind with this review. So first off, we'll look at the color. It's got a nice pale straw color going on in there. Nothing too deep and rich in color. So let's go in for the nose. Now, the nose is really quite delicate. It's pretty soft. I'm getting slight notes of vanilla, like vanilla bean, a little bit of butterscotch in there. There's an interesting pineapple note that comes off. It's sort of a tropical fruit note, a little bit of mango. It's quite interesting. I'm trying to think of, if you've ever had Bastille French whiskey, it's got a lot of similar aromas that does. It really takes some work in getting a decent aroma out of this. It's really delicate. It's pretty light on the nose, rather soft in the sense that things aren't really pungent in your face. There's no strong like smell like the alcohol like hitting your nose or anything like that. So let's go in for the taste. Now this is one that you can really pick apart so long as you have yourself a quiet space, not a lot of distractions, and can take your time with it. You can really pick out the nuances in that type of setting rather than something that's like just, grab it off the shelf after dinner and pour yourself, a drink or something like that. Something that would be on a person's like daily drinker list or shelf. Because it's real subtle. You have to give it that time and energy to really pick it apart. But first things that I pick off are similar to the nose in that I get a butterscotch note, getting a little bit of vanilla on there. I'm not getting any real spiciness at all as I would with the bourbon from Wild Turkey. It's got a little bit more of a spice, peppery note to it, but with the rye, I don't get so much. I'd be really interested to see what the mash bill makeup is with this. I'm wondering if it's a higher rye, in that I'm like getting some like fruity notes and that sort of thing, but I'm not getting an overly spicy, sort of this raw, edgy, peppery note in there, if that makes any sense to people. I can see why this would be marketed to the cocktail mixed drinks, side of the spectrum, because I think it would blend in really well with different, alterations of whatever type of drink that you're trying to do. Of course, I'm not too versed in that end of the spectrum because that's not typically how I drink my whiskey. I typically just drink it straight up or add a little bit of water. Or if it's like really ungodly hot out, put some like a big ice cube in it, but typically I stray away from that. But anyway, not sort of the mixed drink cocktail person myself, but I can see its merits. And especially for the price point, I mean, that low to mid 20s, you can't really go wrong there. I can see this being on a lot of barroom shelves, for people who want to make different drinks and that sort of thing. It'd be a good one to grab. I'm going to be looking out for the 101 because I'm wondering if that bit higher proof is going to help this out a little bit. And not to say that this is sort of bad or anything like that. It's just really soft on the palate. It's really subdued. It's almost like you've watered down the whiskey just past where it should be to be relatively enjoyable, where one may prefer it to be. So I'm not an absolutely huge fan of it, to tell you the truth, but hey, that's why we have opinions, and that's why we give it to you straight here. If you like it, it's totally fine, obviously. Let me know what you pick up in terms of notes on this, because again, for me, it's like you need to devote all your attention to it to really pick out the nuances that are going on in there, as opposed to other whiskeys where it's just like blatant in your face, like a powerful punch, and it doesn't always necessarily have to do with the ABV. Do I think the 1 proof higher is sort of gimmicky? Yeah, a little bit. I don't know why they picked the 40.5% ABV. It just doesn't make much sense to me. If they're going to bring it higher than the normal or the standard proof, then bring it up to like 43% ABV, and that would be fine. But let's take one last pass at it. I'm noticing just out of the corner of my eye, the bottle's got some words sort of etched in the bottom there. It's bold, genuine, and true. This might be one of those 2 truths and a lie thing, because I don't know about bold. It doesn't taste that bold to me. Sorry, that's just my opinion. and crafted with conviction. I'm sure it was crafted with conviction. Otherwise, why are you making a product? But anyway, that's it for episode number 111. Should we do a score? Yeah, we'll say 75 out of 100, or maybe 74, 75 seems all right. Again, not big into reviews, but for some people that's a big thing in making their purchasing decision, or being able to converse about whether they like something or not. So there you have it. That's it. As always, if you're going to drink responsibly, and we'll see you next time.